Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
Welcome to the Networking RX podcast. I'm your host, Frank Agan, founder and president of AmSpirit Business Connections. Today, we have another fabulous guest. As our ongoing subscribers know, often on this podcast, it's me sharing ideas, insights, best practices for building professional relationships and excelling at business networking. Occasionally, however, I will be interviewing subject matter experts, authors, speakers, thought leaders, social scientists, and these are people who will share their knowledge to help us build relationships and understand why we do the things we do. Today, I have on here with me author speaker Nancy Gansikoffer. I told her that would be the hardest thing about this podcast is to get her name out. At any rate, she is a sought-after speaker, author, business coach to interior designers. And she's an expert in topics such as body language, marketing, sales, profitability, and systems for interior design businesses. She specializes in coaching service-based entrepreneurs, teaching them to maximize their profitability while identifying and best serving their ideal clients. Her book, which I have in front of me and I've been reading, is called Respond with Confidence: The Business Owner's Blueprint for Handling Difficult Situations. And Nancy, we are all in difficult situations every day, right?
Always.
Yeah. And before we hit record, I was talking with Nancy about some stories she shared in the book. And it was interesting because it's like, yeah, that's me. Oh, that's me. That's me. So, well, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this and what was the genesis of the book. I know the stories in there, but at what point do you say, okay, I need to write a book. I need to get all this stuff down on paper.
You know what, that first question, first of all, thank you for having me here, Frank. I really appreciate it. And I think you're right on where everyone has issues in their lifetime that they've messed up with their communication and possibly screwed themselves with a relationship or a business opportunity. And that is how my book came to be, because I had that, open mouth, insert foot syndrome quite a few times in my life. And finally, one of them, the one that's in the opening section of the book, is the one that I thought, enough is enough. I am not going to let this happen to me anymore. And it was kind of like the beginning of changing a lot of habits that needed to have that extra pause before you follow through to the next step when it comes to responding to people. So my history, I'll make it really quick. I was a banker for 10 years after college. I left after starting to have my family, became a personal fitness instructor. And then my mother, who was an artist, decided to give away all her artwork. And I said, no, wait, my youngest is now 2, going to preschool. I'm looking for my next reinvention of myself. Send the artwork to me. So I started selling her artwork at home art parties. An interior designer walked in one day and said, that's the perfect piece of artwork for my client's home. Can you bring it to the house for me? I said, absolutely. Next thing you know, can you help us frame it? Yes, I can. I knew nothing. I knew nothing about art besides my mother was an artist. I was all business, a businesswoman creating a new business. But there was a light bulb moment when I thought there's a need here for someone to have a shop at home for art service for interior designers. So I started what was then called Expressive Living Art Framing and Accessories. And I started a shop at home for art framing and accessories. And my primary clients were interior designers. So that's how I started with the business I ran for 17 years. And in marketing myself to interior designers, I took what were my strengths, which is running a business, managing people, leadership, sales, marketing. And I started having seminars for the interior designers. So they would come to my showroom with my art and accessories, and I would do a seminar. Over the years, I thought to myself, I am so sick of carrying stuff around for a living. We carried 500 pieces of artwork into people's homes. frame corners, mat corners. Like, we were a moving frame shop, basically. So I decided to hang up my shingle as a business coach to interior designers and close down expressive living, art framing, and accessories. And that's what I've been doing for the last 6 years. So I actually coach interior designers, other business coaches, social media marketers, all service providers. I really just don't coach people who have just a specific product to sell. Why? Because I don't really enjoy that type of business as much, because I teach people how to attract the proper client to them. So I decided one day I needed to write a book. Why did I need to write a book? Because you know what? I had an interesting life. I have an interesting life. My oldest child is transgender. My middle had life-threatening food allergies. My youngest had open heart surgery and is a musical theater major. And I just had so much in me that I thought, I need to write a book about how I survived being a mother, running a business, life. And when I called a book coach and he said, no, nobody really wants to read about that. And I was like, oh, wait, but that's what I want to tell people. Like, you can do it. I got through all these things. I was now divorced also. I'm like, I got through all these things and I want to teach other people how I got through them. He said, how about we take the next 2 weeks and we look at why people call you? And I said, well, I'm a business coach. I'm a body language trainer. So they call me to make money and to learn how to market and those types of things. He said, okay, but just observe. Over the next 2 weeks, I observed that most of the last minute emergency phone calls that I got, whether it be a friend, a child, a client, was the client said this, what do I say back? I messed this up. How do I respond? One of my children was like, I wrote this email to a professor and it didn't go over very well. How do I respond and fix it? So when I had my next session with my book coach, I was like, okay, it seems like communication is what people are mostly coming to me for. He said, okay, now the next 2 weeks, observe how you walk them through the result that you get them to. And I'm like, well, I just know it off the top of my head, right? Like, all of us, quote unquote, experts, we just know it, right? But
Right.
there's always a method to what we do. And getting to the bottom of that method was really key for me. And so I started observing my thought process, the questions I put them through. And I ended up turning that into a whole outline that ended up being this book, Respond with Confidence. And we peppered in some of the stories from my life that made the book more interesting and made me feel more fulfilled that I was getting out my mission, which was to help
Right.
people get to that next level and know they could do it also the way I did. So that was the beginning of this book. And now, honestly, my staff and I, we're ready to put out a whole series.
Oh, there you go. Well, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the book, you kind of break it down, and I don't want to give the book away. Buy the book. Again, it's Respond with Confidence, but you talk about responding, and it's 3 steps, right?
Yes.
Decompress, assess, and then address.
Yes.
And it's interesting it's kind of like telling somebody how to tie your shoes, teach them how to tie their shoes. I've been tying my shoes forever, right? I was probably 30 something when my son was born, or probably mid 30s when it's time for him to tie his shoes. Okay, teach somebody to tie their shoes. It's like, I don't know how to tie shoes. I can tie shoes, but I don't know how to tell somebody how to tie shoes. And I think that's kind of where you were at with respect to this.
Absolutely. It's really figuring out the step by step on how to talk somebody through. When something is a difficult situation, usually the first thing that happens is we just react. We get angry, we get upset, we get heated, we want to put somebody in their place. I'll tell them, I'll show them, I'll prove to them. All these things come to mind initially. So the first step is always like, let's take a deep breath and decompress, and don't feel like we have to respond right away. And I think that's part of what's going on in the world right now. We're so used to being overly connected that someone expects a response right away. And now in turn, we feel like we have to respond right away.
Yeah.
So with my business clients who I coach, often I'm like, you do not have to respond to that client right now, today. And they're like, yeah, but. I'm like, no buts. Let's give it 24 hours. marinate on it, decompress, go do your workout, go do this and that. Let's think about what you want the end result to be before we create a response. Or I'll have them send their initial response to me so that they can get it off of their chest and then go back and redo it when they've calmed down and thought through what is the goal, what is the final result you're actually looking for, and are you achieving that in that communication?
Yeah,
Both
I
in
mean,
method and word.
I can't think of and I try to do those things as well. I'm the same way, right? Oh my God, they've wronged me. I need my pride. I need to, and a lot of times when you reread somebody's email, we tell ourselves stories, right? It's,
Absolutely.
this is what they meant. But I was sharing with you before we got on, I had a conversation with this guy and he was all over me. And it's like, I thought your email was totally condescending. It's like, really? That wasn't the intent. Now I can't argue with what his opinion is. I can apologize that you read it that way, but that certainly wasn't my intent.
Well, I have a real pet peeve about apologizing too. You may not have gotten all the way through the book, but
no, I haven't. I told you.
Yeah, people just apologize too much over things that, why should I apologize for you feeling the way you feel? There's so many ways to say, there's been a misunderstanding without saying, I'm sorry you're upset. Why do I have to say I'm sorry that you're upset? Why can't I just say, this is what happened, this is why it happened, and this is how it's not going to happen again? And I have a staff of about 7 people, and it's funny when a new team member comes on, that's one of the first conversations I have with them is, you never have to apologize to me unless you have purposely done something to hurt my organization, my reputation, my business, or a client. Other than that, all I want to know is that I want you to know that everyone makes mistakes. It's expected. It's going to happen. I make mistakes if I was doing everything myself. So never feel like I never want to hear I'm sorry. I just want to say, like, hey, Nancy, this is what happened. This is how I fixed it. And this is what I put in place so it'll never happen again. And I'm like, okay, good. Thank you. Like, I'm sorry is almost like sweeping under the table what happened and what you did and never made you think through how it could not happen again. So that's a little pet peeve of mine that I don't really like when people apologize too much.
Well, I'm sorry for saying sorry. No, I think no, that's very insightful, and you have a companion to the book, a download, which we'll share the link to it, but it's a supplement entitled "Don't Say That, Say This," and it's, I want to say 6-7 pages. Obviously, it's an easy read, or it's a short read.
Yes.
Just little things. Instead of saying I will get back to you, say you will get an answer. You will get an answer from me by such and such date.
Yes.
It's interesting. I just took a course on sending email, and how to write a good sales email. Woman's Nikki Roush. I just interviewed her. She had a quick course to take, and so I took it. And she said, "Get away from using I words. I'll get back to you. And this is exactly what you're doing here. And you put it on them. You will get this. So it's not me."
It's interesting because that was less about changing it from an I statement with, yes, I am conscious of that as well. And I try to make those corrections where it's appropriate,
Right.
But it's more about time management. How many times have you sent someone an email saying, let me know if you have opportunity next week to meet? And I'll send back, well, I have Wednesday at 3:00. Well, no, Wednesday at 3:00 is not good. How about Tuesday, right? And you go back and forth. And this seems to be a real disease of new entrepreneurs. Let me know when you're available and I'll set that appointment. And I'm like, how about you say, I have Tuesday at 2:00 available. Does that work for you? This way, we're just getting that yes or no. And we're hopefully hitting on it sooner rather than that whole back and forth. So people tend to be more, I don't know, wishy-washy, thinking they're being flexible, but it's actually causing, them to have problems managing their time because they're not being definitive. So a lot of those statements you'll see, I've changed them to be more definitive and assertive, but not obnoxious, right? Just taking control of the situation more than just kind of letting it go out there and seeing what happens.
No, I mean, that's, it's amazing what there is to learn out there.
I know.
Every year I finish the year thinking, wow, I am ready to take on the world. And then by January 15th, and I'm not talking New Year's resolutions, I'm just talking just a gut punch, something you didn't see coming. We
Yeah.
seldom make the same mistakes twice, but man, we are good at inventing them, aren't we?
Oh, we are. We are. Absolutely. But this was really a passion for me of when I asked my clients, besides helping you make money, that's a given. Marketing, that's a given. What do I really do for you? And they're like, I don't know. You just give us the words to say things better, to make it really
Yeah.
simple, right? When a difficult client who's pushing back on pricing, trying to create their own service that's custom just for them that you've never had before. Like, how do you stand in your power kindly but assertively and not get pushed around by the world, right? Who's always trying to get you to fit into their box instead of them fitting into your business model. So it's really something that takes a little effort and some advanced decision making to decide, like, how do you want to present to the world, and then what words do you need to stand in your power. And that's really what this ends up being. A lot of my clients and people who've downloaded the book say they bought the physical version and then they downloaded the audible version so they can listen to it on their way to clients, let's say, just to remind them not to talk so much and make every sentence actually count so that you are a more efficient and profitable business owner. So that was my goal. And I told you before we went live, my 26-year-old read it. She was 25 at the time. And she came out of her room and said, I think she was about 1/3 of the way through. And she said, oh my God, Mom, all my friends need to read this. Going out into the business world, they're never been trained in high school, even for college, for this, like how to communicate effectively, simple, to the point, and do it in a well thought out manner, not just from your gut emotion and your id, but actually deciding how you want to present yourself in each communication and what you want the result to be. So it's kind of like stop, think, and then formulate your
Right.
response.
Well, and I don't want to blame media or television or anything like that, but when we watch shows or watch movies, we see responses, we see reactions, we don't see responses, right?
Correct.
We don't, because we don't have time in the movie for this 3-hour, I'll send the email tomorrow, or kind of, or what sort of a thing. It's like, hey, right now, and that's the drama. And it's kind of, it mimics or models the wrong behaviors. And
it does. And I will blame TV a little bit, because especially with the reality TV, right? What makes exciting reality TV? Drama, right? So it really is taking the emotion out of business is another thing that I'm really known for. This is business. This is not personal. If a client doesn't get back to you or doesn't hire you or thinks you're too expensive or is upset with something in the process, maybe related to you, maybe not, it's really not personal. They're not attacking your character and you as a personality. They're basically upset with the process of whatever they hired you for. So if you can take that ego out of it and look at it objectively, it just changes the way you respond to pretty much everything that we're used to not thinking and just doing. And now I'm making everyone stop and go, let's think it through. Let's think about the words we use, because our words are so powerful. I'm a body language trainer. I coach on body language as well. So along with your body language, your words matter. And that's really what this book is all about.
Yeah, no, it's no, I haven't read the whole thing, but I have. I'm pulling through it because I need it, right? I think everybody needs it, right?
It's a good reminder.
It is. It is.
Right.
I mean, I'm challenged every day with people. Well, if you're in business, every day has a fire to it. That's the way I look at it. no day comes off as planned. So it's something, and that can kind of get under your skin. Hey, today I want to do this. I want to put this PowerPoint together. I've got all day. Then all of a sudden that fire comes out of the email or however, a call or whatever it is, and you're put off by that, and that starts to make you angry, and it starts to take control's being taken away from you is really what it is.
Well, it's your perception of that event
Sure.
that changes, right? So I love Marie Forleo. Always, somebody asked her on an interview once, what do you do when you get overwhelmed? And she said, oh, I don't get overwhelmed. I literally made a decision years ago that I will never be overwhelmed. So overwhelm is a state of mind, right? Frustration
Sure.
is a state of mind. So we all go there. Like I go there, but
Yeah.
I quickly remember that sentence. I don't do overwhelm. I looked at my calendar today. I said, oh my goodness, I have 9 appointments today and then networking tonight. I'm like, what did I do to myself? But then I thought, nope, I don't do overwhelm. Just do one thing at a time. And it's amazing how it just relaxes you because it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think you're right. You are right. I can think of situations back in time. I remember in law school, feeling overwhelmed, but then you look back, it's like, I got through it.
Right.
Other people got through it. I don't have anything unique here. Everybody else did this.
Exactly.
And now when I have situations where I'm feeling a little put upon, it's like, yeah, I will figure it out. Do I really need to do all this stuff? Can I put this off till the weekend or next week? And you just start to reprioritize, and it all works out.
Right.
Let's shift gears here real quick. I'm gonna put in the show notes the link to, it would be both the website and this download. Don't say that, say this. So you can go to the show notes and that'll be there. But Nancy, I want to kind of give you an opportunity to talk about the things you're doing, how people listening might be able to help you, how they can get a hold of you.
So my name, which looks complicated, but is quite phonetic as we talk, Nancy Gansikoffer, that's where I am everywhere, on Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Facebook. But I also have 2 Facebook groups, depending on who's listening and what they do, because I coach service-based providers. So if you are a coach or a consultant, you can hop over to the Coaching Hotspot in Facebook. I have a group growing there where I'm starting to teach how I grew my coaching business, how I teach attraction marketing, and I go live in there every day for the most part. I'd say 4 days a week, if not 5 days a week. And if you're an interior designer, happen to be there, I have a group of 8,000 interior designers in the Interior Design Business Forum, also on Facebook. So basically, the service providers really have to have the confidence to present their services the way they need to, so people value them. I think that's the biggest complaint of service providers, where I don't have a product to sell you. Like, here's my product. Your product is yourself first, initially, if you're a service provider. So just like me as a coach, I have to work on attraction marketing, right? What I say, what I do has to be valuable for people to be attracted to me. So I'm teaching exactly what I did to grow my business to other service providers. So to help me, hop on over to my Instagram, give me a like and a follow over there, or any of my other social medias. And if you like what I do, let me know, send me a message. Let's create a relationship, because as you know, Frank, and you do it so well, networking is really the way to get your net further so that you can help more people. And that's always the goal for me, is just to help more people, make more money, live the life they want to live, and show their value with confidence. So that's my pitch right there.
All right, great. They can get a hold of you through nancygansikoffer.com.
They can, yes.
Okay. See, now I can say it. I'm just going to say it all day. It's like that music that gets stuck in your head. I really appreciate your time on the show today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me as a guest. I hope your listeners got some value from it. Thanks.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.